Today, I screwed up by putting my school in hysteria by creating a mandatory wee-wee inspection prank. I did not believe my senior prank would backfire on me as hard as it did, but here we are. This happened a couple of weeks ago, but it's too funny not to talk about. So I, an 18-year-old male, came out with the amazing idea to participate in the senior pranks in my school. There weren't many pranks being made at the school to begin with, so it was kind of a disappointing way to end the school year. For some background, my school has about 1,000 people in it, so it's relatively small. That also means word spreads incredibly quick. This is also important. I came up with the genius idea to create a mandatory willy inspection that was going to be run by someone with the name of Dixie Normus, and had it labeled as a graduation requirement. How did I come up with such a genius idea? The internet! More specifically, a Reddit post with a similar idea. I cobbled up the document on my school Chromebook, working on and off on it for the next couple of weeks, adding a tweak here, editing a date here, changing the wording there, forgetting it here and there. Eventually, I found my time to strike, and I was elated that some of my friends found it humorous and encouraged this prank to be done. Now, the setup. I've been in the school theater club for about 3 years now. I familiarized myself with the way it works and the way rehearsals usually work out. I found my opportunity to strike. The 8 p.m. rehearsal days. I left for home, bringing a roll of Scotch tape and the magnum opus that I created on my school Chromebook. I waited until rehearsal started and conjured my plan while I was tuning my guitars. I would wait until the 5-minute break before I strike on the unsuspecting school. So I did just that. A couple of hours passed after the final bell of the day rang, and I conveniently had to take a bathroom break. I'm just imagining them trying to subtly walk out of the rehearsal room, saying they really need to pee while holding a bunch of pieces of paper.
Yeah, I like to bring my own toilet paper.
Now, additionally, it was extremely convenient that the baseball team had just left the bathroom in question, which gave me the impression that I would have something to fall back on if my genius plan did not go accordingly. I stood in front of the door, the restroom, unsuspecting on how I was about to defile it, and so I struck. Adrenaline pumped through my veins as I dug through my book bag, pulling out my folder and pulling out the roll of Scotch tape and tainting the stalls with my product. After 1 short minute, my prank was complete. I walked out of the bathroom pretending to be oblivious to what had just transpired, and I kept it that way. But the next day, I woke up to dozens of reposts of the supposed mandatory wee-wee inspections that were supposed to happen at school the following day. It spread quickly among grade levels, the post being shared over and over again on different profiles, being exposed to different eyes each time. It got to a point where the school was alerted and then became a taboo topic to speak about. Any mention from that day about the wee-wee inspection was met with scolding and threats of detention. Seniors and underclassmen were called down to the office by the number, only to be met with interrogating about what had transpired. But here's where I screwed up. Not only did I forget about the camera that's in the hallway in front of the bathroom, but the fact it was only the theater club and baseball team in the school, which narrowed the suspects down quite significantly. Did I also mention the day of the inspection was the day of the theater production? Nope, I did not. This amalgamation of not-onlys created quite the interesting scenario for the following day. I had slept in the day of the show. My plan was to show up during my last period, to show up before we began to ready the equipment and leave enough time to touch up any areas that might need work. But I woke up to various missed calls by one of my band members telling me that I screwed up and that I was in a lot of trouble. One thing came to mind: the wee-wee inspection. My bandmate had told me that I was at risk of getting kicked out of the show or even having the show cancelled altogether. A production that we had been working on for about 3 months at the time, and having my graduation revoked if measures were to be taken that drastically. He told me that the principal required me at school that instant and threatened me with various disciplinary measures. I rushed to school, frantically getting out of the house and sprinting down the sidewalk, trying to get to school as quickly as possible. When I finally got to the school, I was greeted by the ever-so-friendly Ring doorbell summoning me to the office that instant. I timidly entered, trying my best to play stupid. I was being scolded for missing most of the school day. My moment of relief was was quickly cut short by the piercing yell of my name down the office. My principal looked at me with a fiery scowl, eyeing me down across the room like a lion readying for its next kill. She told me to go on with my day and that we were going to have a pleasant chat after. Skipping along to the pleasant chat because most of this is just talking about how scared they were, I walked with a pale face down to the office and was called down into the principal's personal office. The door slammed behind me and I stood before my principal, my stomach in my throat. She pulled out one of the inspection papers and slid it on the desk across to me. "Do you recognize this?" She began to read the first sentence and I could see the stern look on her face breaking slowly. She began to have a change of heart and wanted me to take accountability of it and realize that it was indeed a screw-up. I was allowed to participate in the show as the lead guitarist, and I also am able to let this slide with little to no consequence, with the only notable punishment is not being able to participate in a school barbecue the following week, which wasn't exactly world-ending to me, but all is well. So overall, a rather comforting ending for someone thinking that the apocalypse was upon them. Top comments say, only a theater kid would write with this much detail. Because yeah, want to see what the poster is? My god, they really did spend time on this.
Attention, mandatory wee-wee inspections to all male high school students. The district is required to conduct mandatory wee-wee inspections on all males high school students in accordance with Illinois Health Code 21. End-of-year wee-wee inspections will occur in the community room on Friday, May 13th, 2023. There will be one makeup day. All students who receive one mandatory wee-wee inspection will also receive one testicle tendering in order to check for STDs, testicular cancer, and any symptoms of a recent COVID-19 strain.
Dude, this sounds way too legit.
All students must attend one of 2 inspections and 1 testicle tendering. Students will be excused from their next classes if they attend either inspection.
Please note, uncircumcised students should report to the uncircumcised line within the community room.
Circumcised students should report to the circumcised line.
Oh my god, it's 1933 Germany all over again.
Students must complete a weenie inspection before the end of the year.
The traditional Western pass-fail judging system will be used. Wait, how do you fail a willy inspection?
Seniors who do not pass an inspection before the end of the year will not graduate. Please ensure that your weenies are clean and orderly.
A fail will be given for all shaven testicles and to any individual with an erection. Oh, best hope the person doing the inspection isn't the teacher you had a crush on since grade 8. Over to Am I the A-hole once more. Am I the a-hole for expecting my boyfriend to pay rent if he moves in with me? This is a doozy. I've been dating Josh for a year. This is a doozy. I've been dating Josh for a year. I should say now that I, 24 female, don't ever want to be legally married. And Josh, 30 male, is divorced and doesn't want to remarry. We also live in a place where there is no common law marriage. Still, we want to take things a bit further, and we're talking about Josh and his 2 daughters moving in with me. I own a 3-bed, 2-bath house in a nice area. Josh rents a 2-bed, 1-bath apartment, and his lease is coming up. My mortgage is $1,000 a month, and Josh's rent is $1.4K a month. So it was important to me that we would have everything figured out before making the change so that there would be no surprises or disagreements about who pays what. I figured it would be unreasonable for Josh to expect to just live with me for free, especially since I'd be giving up one of my rooms so his daughters could have a room. I suggested that Josh pay $700 a month to me in rent, half of what he is currently paying. I would cover the cost of any home repairs, internet, garbage, etc. Then we would split utilities. Even though there's 3 of them and 1 of me, I don't mind splitting since that would be about what I'm currently paying, I predict. And since I meal prep once a week, I would just get my own groceries and he could get theirs. But when I laid everything out, Josh was very unhappy and said since it's my house, he shouldn't have to pay rent and that we should split groceries. I told him he was welcome to buy his own house and I would move in with him and happily pay rent while renting out my own house. He was mad at me because he said he's not in a position where he can buy a house. So we can't come to an agreement. So I suggested he just find another apartment. The owners aren't letting him renew. And we could revisit the topic in a year. He's not happy with that either because rent prices have skyrocketed here and 2 bedrooms now go for around 1.8k a month. And he thinks he won't be able to find a place he can afford. So I'm a bit frustrated because I feel like $700 a month is a really good deal compared to the likely $1,800 he will have to pay. Since we aren't going to get married or anything, I don't understand why he thinks I would be okay with him living for free with his 2 kids. I'm happy to have romance and companionship, but shared assets and finances are not something I want in life. I don't want to support a man. So am I the a-hole for expecting my boyfriend to pay rent? Does this dude think that just because there are some women out there who are gold diggers in the sense that they think a man should provide everything for them, that he's allowed to like,
Equality. I deserve to have that put on women as well when I date them.
Sir, those kind of women aren't the kind you're meant to look up to or try and replicate as an example of standards. There's a reason why there are so many of those women who are single. So the biggest support, this was 10 days ago, this original post. Not the a-hole, your solution is perfectly reasonable. If he doesn't like your rental price, he is free to find his own home. Unless he's just been dating you so he could eventually move in and his daughter's in and pay no rent. And it seems the OP has that exact fear in mind. I just love this. I like Josh and we have a good time when we're together and the intimacy is great, but I don't think it's enough for $700 a month, if you know what I mean. Damn. Man's game is as good as a pre-owned Samsung Galaxy S10. So naturally, everyone thought Natar, like a huge majority. So Opie comes back with an edit where boyfriend wants to chime in because he thinks you're all wrong. Edit. I showed Josh this post and he thinks you all are wrong. So here's some input from him. Leslie makes 120k a year and I make 30k a year. I'm living paycheck to paycheck supporting 2 kids with no help from my ex-wife. It's gotten so expensive here that at this rate, I'm not even going to be able to feed my kids soon without going to the food bank. No matter what, they're going to get fed. But it's not fair that she owns a house and can go on vacations or spend $400 a month getting her hair done when I can't even buy my kids name brand cereal. She shouldn't charge me to live with her because she should understand that I want to be able to spend whatever I can giving my kids the childhood they deserve. Not for me, but for them. And I think this is a great example of his heart's in the right place, but unfortunately his mind's also not, if that makes sense. That probably doesn't make sense because even I'm confused when I say it out loud. Like, he's a parent. He's doing he's trying to do what he can do best for his kids, as you would. But it also seems like he's upset that she chose a life where she didn't bang people at a young age and accidentally get them pregnant when you weren't financially ready for the responsibility of kids. Like, sorry man, you didn't use protection properly, you're paying the consequences. Yes, you clearly are struggling and that really sucks, especially for your children's potential, but you gotta make do. And the fact she is offering you what is like half price or less of rent to live in what is no doubt a nice place too, because it's her own home? Beggars can't be choosers. Unfortunately, apparently just 2 hours later into making that edit, the OP comes back with an update. Thanks Reddit. Owe you one, and I'm glad I posted here. After a very loud and angry argument with Josh, I broke up with him. Despite pretty much everyone telling him he was wrong, Josh insisted that I should basically support the 3 of them because it's what would be best for his kids. He doesn't seem to understand that they aren't my kids, and no one is going to want to bankroll the 3 of them. At least no one with a brain. The point is, I'm young, good looking, I own a house. I can do better than a broke single dad who has no education and a terrible job who thinks it's okay to mooch off me and scream in my face when I tell him no. Hope your ex-girlfriend is stupid enough to put up with you, Josh. No wonder your ex-wife left. Way to screw up, Josh. He had it good and now he has nothing. Choosing beggar energy for sure. And I mean, at the least bargain with her. As someone says here, he could have counted at $500 a month, which is half her mortgage, and got an even better deal. But nope, he's got to be a mooch. Seriously, especially how the market is at the moment, I am shocked that he would reject an offer that is $700 a month. Like, oh my god, that is just $175 a week. To only have to pay that much in 2023? Are you kidding me? Anyway, let's keep the ball rolling with a similar theme, where a boyfriend ends up being far more of a scumbag than she realizes. Basically being a liar through omission. It's strange. I mean, the length some men will go just to get laid. Would I be the a-hole if I break up with my boyfriend because he thinks it's immoral to cheat on an abusive partner? To be clear, nobody in this situation is abusive and nobody is a cheater. So my boyfriend, 26 male of 2 years, and I, 24 female, got into an argument that started with the musical waitress, which is about a woman who cheats on her abusive husband with her gynecologist. She's also pregnant. The husband is physically and financially abusive and won't let her leave him, though she is secretly saving up money to enter a pie baking competition, so she can hopefully use the prize money to leave him and find a better future for herself and her baby. Here's my take. I don't condone cheating, but in my opinion, if your partner's hitting you and trying to take all your money, then you don't owe them any loyalty. At that point, you're more of a prisoner than a partner, and you don't have to feel bad for cheating. It's better if you don't, because you might be in a lot of danger if your abuser finds out, but I wouldn't shame the cheater. However, in this case, the doctor also has a wife, which the main character knows from the beginning, but ignores until she meets said wife, at which point she ends the affair. So I think she's in the wrong for sleeping with a married man. The wife deserves better and has every right to hate both of them, but not wrong for cheating on her husband. Now, my boyfriend is a lot more religious than I am, and says that there is never an excuse for cheating. He says adultery is always a sin, and if she wanted to have a new relationship, she should have waited until she could leave him. He says the husband is wrong for abusing her, but she also made vows to be faithful to him, and two wrongs don't make a right. He says he doesn't know if he could remain friends with someone who cheated on her husband, even if he was abusive. Now, personally, I think this take is batshit crazy. Of course, I didn't say that to his face, and I find his rigid definition of sin and immorality alarming. Like, he says, I don't understand because I'm not religious. I said I don't think religion validates not having empathy for an abuse victim and recognizing that the relationship dynamic changes once abuse starts. I also think the idea of cutting off a friend for cheating on her abuser is horrific. He says it shouldn't matter because neither of us plan on abusing or cheating on the other, and he doesn't want to keep going back and forth about it. But I can't stop thinking about it, and the longer I think, the more disturbing I find it. He's never been cheated on or abused, so it's not like some traumatic psychological thing. He just can't wrap his mind around cheating being okay in any circumstance. Up until now, religion has never been a reason for disagreement, and neither of us want kids, so I didn't think it would. But the whole, you don't understand because you're not religious, really got on my nerves. I don't know what you mean. This is only the largest paragraph when he started mentioning that. Doesn't sound like a sour spot of yours at all. Both of us agree that the doctor is unequivocally wrong both for cheating and for hooking up with a vulnerable patient. He deserves to get dumped and fired and have his medical license revoked, but that's not really relevant. It feels a little ridiculous to end a relationship because of an argument that started with a fictional musical about pie, but here I am. Am I overreacting? Edit to clarify, I'm not trying to justify or condone actual cheating in any way. I would never encourage or support someone to cheat, no matter their circumstances. The point of disagreement is that I think the cheater being an abuse victim who can't leave is reason to have compassion for why they did it, and it's messed up to end a friendship over that. So throughout the story, it does seem like her stance changes a bit more and more each time. Like at first, it's okay as long as the partner's an abuser, you're allowed to cheat all you want, but then later agreeing it's not okay because it involves other people, like, you know, if that other person is married, which in most cases they usually are. But then by the end of it, they're saying, actually, I don't condone it, I just have compassion or like sympathy for people who do it. Obviously, other people notice this in this whole post as well to highlight that I don't think the original argument is the reason you're posting this. I think you found out that his values and yours don't line up and it's a deal breaker for you. Maybe talk first before breaking it off, but if you're sure, then that's that. And ooh-wee, talk about foreshadowing, because one day later they come back. First off, thanks for all the replies to the original post. The reason I turned to Reddit was because he was shutting down conversation while I wasn't ready to let it go, and you guys helped me figure out why exactly it bothered me and how to organize my thoughts to better communicate them. As most of you said, the core issue wasn't really about the musical or hypothetical situation, it was about the implication of underlying principles that I didn't agree with and the inconsistency in his religious beliefs, as well as the tone of the religious superiority that got to me. So I brought it up again last night over FaceTime. We don't live together, fortunately, and he was quite upset that I wouldn't let it go because I'm normally not argumentative like this. It's true that I usually try to find common ground or compromise, but I thought that was weird of him to say. At this point, I felt pretty guilty about not letting it slide, and I considered dropping it, but I had spent too much time thinking about it to let it go, and boy, am I glad I didn't. I started by asking about out why this was a situation that could be dictated solely by religious doctrine, while he's fine with things like premarital sex, abortion, homosexuality, etc. He gave evasive answers for a ridiculously long time, but eventually it all came out. He is uncomfortable with gay people and distances himself from them too. Well, what about our gay friends? Well, apparently they're my friends, not our friends. I guess we've only hung out with them in larger groups, but why has he never said anything about this before? Even when I excitedly told him that 2 of our female friends were engaged. Apparently, he thinks he shouldn't have had to say anything, and I should have known he's not okay with people who live in sin. Also, this couple won't really be married. Huh? I go to Pride every year to support my LGBTQ plus friends. He never criticized me for doing that. So why would I think he had a problem with it? I'm a quiet person by nature. It's not like I don't give him a chance to share his opinion. At this point, I start to get really suspicious. I then ask him about abortions and being okay with not wanting kids. Turns out he does want kids. He tried to convince me that I misunderstood when he said he didn't want kids, and he was just saying that he wasn't ready for kids yet, but would be in the future. This is an outright lie. I've known since I was about 14 that I never want kids, and I have never wavered on that. I always bring this up within the first few dates, and I distinctly remember him saying that he was looking forward to a child-free adulthood, and how much freedom dinks, double income, no kids, have. This is when I start to get really upset because I know he's lying to me. Looking back now, I realize I never went back to ask him about abortion because I was so shaken by the kids revelation. I wouldn't be surprised if he outright lied about being pro-choice as well. The conversation continued with us talking about religion in general. As I said, I'm not religious, and he's never tried to get me to go to church with him or anything. I was raised by immigrant parents who practiced a minority religion, but they are not devout and they favor scientific explanations, and they raised me to be respectful of others' beliefs. I thought he understood that. In the past, he's asked me about cultural and religious customs and seemed respectful and interested. Turns out, he thinks their religion is not real, as opposed to his, and it's interesting to see their customs, but we can't expect them to know better because they weren't well educated. Oh no! Both of my parents not only went to reputable universities in their original country, but also went on to get master's degrees in the country we live in now. That's when I realized he's a bigot. I also asked him about why he's okay with premarital intimacy, but not any of the other stuff, and he hemmed and hawed and didn't have an answer, which is when I realized he's a horny nincompoop. Of course, the horny young man is okay with getting laid, but not with other people getting laid with who they love. Oh, those 2 men who love each other in the apartment next door better not be getting anything intimate going on between them 2 where I can't see them or hear them. For some reason, this is going to occupy my brain rent-free. At this point, he's still acting like I'm the bad guy for not automatically knowing all these things he's either never said or not automatically knowing when he meant the opposite of what he said. By now, I know that I'm done with this relationship, but I ask him why. If religion is so important to him, he's okay with me not being religious. Long story short, here we go. He basically thought that by the time it all came out, I'd be so obsessed with him that I wouldn't dare leave him, and I would become a follower of his religion because, let's be honest, you're out of my league, and you won't find anyone better now that you're getting fat. I've gone from a size 2 to a size 4 in 2 years. He also said some frankly racist, elitist stuff about how his rich family is better than mine. This whole time, he was acting like I was ridiculous for overreacting to all these revelations. Finally, I told him it was over, and he didn't seem to believe me. Whatever, I know I'm done with him. I went to bed angry and upset, but I woke up more relieved that I know the truth now. It's going to take me a while to trust again after all those lies, but better that it happened now when I can make a clean break than if it happened after I'd moved in with him or after I'd gotten pregnant and he'd gotten me arrested for seeking an abortion. Oh god, that's right, you can get arrested for that now. Man, imagine committing to this guy and this happens to you and he just suddenly did a 180 on you without you realizing and getting you arrested. Oh man. Luckily, I have the day off work today to process it all mentally. I didn't have any calls or texts from him this morning, so I figured he'd either accepted it or was still in denial. I didn't care much. But then, a few hours ago, I got a very angry voicemail from his mom, a woman I've met twice and has my number because we exchanged a few recipes, telling me I'm going to hell for, among other things, cheating on her baby boy. That's right. This guy must be a pathological liar or something, because his response to me dumping him for being a liar was to run to mommy with a new lie about me hooking up with some fictional man from work. Forget the fact I'm not a teacher. Forget the fact I'm not a cheater. I don't even work with any men who would fit this lie. I sent the mom a text spelling out the truth and told her I was blocking her, which I did. They continue in the comments. comments just to add some other info that they've reached out to their friends in case that the ex-boyfriend tried to accuse her of being a cheater to all of them. Turns out he hasn't. That overall, she's going to try and be optimistic, though shocked at how well he managed to hide all this from her. Amazing how this all came to be just from a fictitious circumstance of debate. Either way, what a roller coaster of a day to go through with a relationship. Thank God he exposed himself now, though.
Well, that is the end of today's video. Thank you as always for watching. Remember to drink water that's healthy for you and stuff. I love your face, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.